The worst Monster GM driver pairings in Megalodon. Hashtag not my personal favorite. First up, we got Bernard Light. I don't even agree with this pairing at all. He has done so well driving Alien Invasion, but right now he blew it. Luckily, he now drives Spider-Man for now on. Next, we have Adam Anderson. Are you serious? A Gravedigger driver? This one's obnoxious. I mean, he broke the record by dumping over 8 trucks, but still. Up next is Charlie Pocket. What's the big idea of putting a veteran in a 2017 truck? I'll prefer him in Monster Mutt instead. And then there's Tristan England. How can I even explain this? Screw that! England should look better in Earthshaker and the new JCB Diggertron than this imbecile. But the worst driver pairing of all time? It's LeDuc. No joke. Seriously, who let LeDuc drive this? He can paint various identities and now that? He said that the truck does not like the body. But he was forced to get used to it. Whoever did this should be responsible for that. The worst Monster GM driver pairings in El Toro Loco. At first, we got Kayla Blood. Her name doesn't even fit on the truck at all. Luckily, she stepped in all the way until 2018. And after that, she will take over Soldier Fortune for the time being. Next, we have John Zimmer. He only stepped in to drive this truck for the infamous Manchester 2019 show. After that, he will go back to Team Dragon because he doesn't represent well. And lastly, there's Scott Buto. What can I say about this driver? He only took over the Ice El Toro Loco until 2020, and that's it. He never stepped in to drive the regular Crazy Bull. Not even for at least one show. By the way, I do not mind this truck. Since it's one of the iconic trucks and now having a multitude in every single tour, it will still deserve to be my personal favorite. So don't be a tight ass and walk the plank. The worst Monster GM driver pairings in Scooby-Doo. Since the truck originally was about to retire, I'm including it anyways. First up in the list is Lindsay Reed. She keeps outdating her Monster GM driver's license. First with Wonder Woman, and then with Monster Mutt Dalmatian. Instead, she kept driving the first truck she has driven, until she drives Lucas Stabilizer for now. Up next in the list is Brianna Mahan. Since I mentioned that her truck Whiplash is a truck that fans don't even recognize the body, or they don't need a girl-themed truck. Like Lindsay Reed, her driver's license got outdated, and this time she will take over the second truck she has driven. And finally, we got the man who firstly took over Pirate's Curse, Steven Sims Jr. He has done so well behind the wheel of the previous truck I mentioned, but now he left it in the dust. And right now he rejoined Monster Trucks Unlimited. This is unacceptable. The worst Monster GM driver pairings in Gravedigger. Yet another iconic and personal favorite truck makes in this episode. For now, let's take a look at the drivers. At first, we have Chad Tingler. He just wasted a lot of time and money taking over different Bell identities. Luckily, as of currently, he now became an indie driver. Next up in the list is Colton Eichelberger. A purple Gravedigger driver makes our list. He lives at Paxton, Illinois, just like his father Tom Mintz. He indeed references a rivalry with Digger and Max D. He switched over with Morgan Kane the following year, but now because of his family conflicts, his careers were pushed further until he came back to drive from the Roars. And finally, we got Cole Bernard. Yet another purple Digger driver makes this list. And the reason for that is because at the end of the 2017 season, he will become independent and drive the Black Pearl for the time being. The worst Monster GM driver pairings in Maximal Destruction, aka Max D. At first is an independent legend, Craig Christensen. He may be the reason why Neil Elliott got replaced. Fortunately, Elliott did return in 2010, but after that, he will return back to his racing team. Next, we have Morgan Kane. I do not mind the driver, but I do mind that he won the hashtag More Monster GM series and got invited to World Final 16 running a gold variant, which it resembles that to Goldberg. By the way, I do not mind this paint scheme at all. And the last one in the list is Kevin Lewis. But I don't have any information nor footage I can find. Only thing to know about him is the Hedro Bulldozer. That's it. No footage from him in Maximal Destruction. I apologize for that. The worst Monster GM driver pairings in Monster Mutt. And I can already tell who am I starting with. At first in the line is Todd Frolic. Its debut season became lackluster because of its driver and its poor performance at World Finals 4, which it resulted their very first movie to be completely scrapped, and afterwards he will retire from driving. Next up is Joe Miller. This is a very lame pairing. Luckily, he only drove it for 2012 to 2013. Along with Tarleton, and like Frolic, he will retire from driving. And the last one right here is Bryce Kenny. But Bryce Kenny? Oh, I remember. His rookie season doesn't represent any brands. That was until 2017, which for now on will take over the Greatwood-sponsored Mohawk Warrior and still runs it to this day. The worst Monster GM driver pairings in Dalmatian. Coming at first in the line is Brianna Mahan. Why did this pairing existed? Well, this was her last truck before taking time off due to having a child. And like I said in Scooby-Doo, they got tired of seeing her driving Whiplash. Next up is Chad Tingler. A male driver makes this list. And like I said in Gravedigger, he wasted time and money in foul trucks. But in the meantime, he only serves as a substitute driver for Candice Jolly at the World Finals. Our last driver in the list is Blake Granger. Yet another male driver in Dalmatian makes his list. And like I said to Chad Tingler, he only served as a fill-in driver to Cynthia Gauthier for only 2 stops. And later in the following year, he will campaign Max D, before now becoming an international driver. The worst Monster GM driver pairings in Rottweiler. Unfortunately, this whole list is about independent drivers campaigning the name. But there's one Bell driver in this list. At first, we got Corey Schneider. I had no idea what is this pairing. The former driver of Toxic drives the truck on higher education, but that was from 2017 to 2019. Next up, we have Preston Perez. Again, I had no idea what is this pairing. And like Corey Schneider, he campaigns the truck on higher education, this time in 2020. And after that, the chassis will be mounted as higher education again. And lastly, there's Dustin Brown. He only drove the truck as a substitution to Rob Schmidt at Abu Dhabi 2013. Then he will have a feeling that he will drive Monster Body in 2015 and underutilized Junkyard Dog in 2016. The worst Monster GM driver pairings in Zombie. Coming up first in the list is Chelsea Van Cleve. I don't even agree with her driving this truck, but interestingly, she only drove it for the 2023 South African Tour. Next up, we got Colt Stevens. He was originally intended to drive Bulldozer for the 2018 season, but it wasn't ready yet, until the truck finally debuted at Nashville. But now because of Feld Motorsports' budget cuts and Monster GM's unfamiliar with Diesel, they will later drop the contract with the Diesel brothers, resulting Bulldozer being based on display and Bro Camino being thrown away. As of currently, he now drives Thunder Roarers and become a world champion. And the worst driver pairing of all time is none other than Amy Hood. She's most likely Monster GM's most hated driver. If you want more information of her, check this video. The worst Monster GM driver pairings in Blue Thunder. For this short, I'm going to be including drivers who drove the Built for Top version and the regular version. First up, we got Frank Krebel. During the 2010 season, Craig Christensen replaced him in Donkey Kong, and I don't even agree with him driving this truck and the Advanced Auto Parts Grinder. As of currently, he now became a member from Monster Trucks Unlimited. Up next is Tyler Menninga. He only serves as a substitution to Dope Milligan, who unfortunately passed away 9 years before, and his rookie season became overrated. As of right now, he now became one of the Gravedigger drivers. And lastly, there's George Valham. After he left the TMNT team in 2004, he now teamed up with Tony Farrell, before now becoming the punk with all the junk and took over an Escalade, and then he will run as Mohawk Warrior to this day.